Santi Giménez, Raúl Jiménez. These are two strikers playing at the top level, playing the Premier League and in Serie A, each of these with tons of potential, but they haven't really gotten it done with the national team on a consistent basis. So what needs to happen for these players to show out for their national team, not only for their clubs? We'll talk about Mexico, a team that has really seen a huge drop-off in the last, I would say, decade to now not become the top team in CONCACAF, the undisputed top team in CONCACAF, but maybe starting to get a little bit of that stability back with manager Javier Aguirre.
Yeah, I think you look over the two legs that they played in the quarterfinal against Honduras, and I think you see both sides of Mexico. Away from home, pretty dreadful. They weren't really creating a ton. They give up two soft goals to Honduras. Memo Ochoa was still in goal for those games. He's not involved in the national team. You figure at some point he has to be replaced. But then you look at that second result right there on your screen, and they were imperious against Honduras. Honestly, 4-0 was kind to them. They smashed them on the day. And it was one of those where it was a relentless Mexico performance. It was the kind where you used to be on the wrong end of those as a USMNT fan. You go, man, we're in for a tough one today against Mexico. But you don't feel like that very often, and yet they were able to do it. It was sort of that relentlessness at the Nemesio 10 at La Bombonera, the home of Toluca in Mexico. And they were really good on that day. And you can see the pieces coming together and that identity of what Mexican football is, at least on show. I think that's why you bring in an old manager like Vasco Aguirre. Not old in terms of age, but old in terms of to sort of recapture what Mexico teams used to play like. And so I think Javier Aguirre is at least forming some of the ideas that you can see in what a good Mexico team would look like. And the pieces are there. The question is, can they do it against higher level opposition? And now, you'd honestly say coming into it, it's going to sound ridiculous, but I think Canada, in my view, should be favorites coming into this game against Mexico. They are a better team playing better. And so I think for Mexico, they're in for a real challenge. The one thing they'll have in their favor is you'd imagine that have a decent amount of support in Los Angeles, given the Mexican-American population there, that they will have the crowd in their favor.
Yeah, it'll be a home game for sure, yes, for El Tri. At least Javier Aguirre provides a little bit of that stability. It just seems like there's always so much chaos around this national team. Not just because of the expectations, just the fans, the media, all of it, the pressure is just always on. And I feel like hasn't been that stable person in charge for quite some time. At least Javier Aguirre can provide that and then hope for some players to perform. And some of those players that have to perform are on that front line. Santi Giménez, Raúl Jiménez. These are two strikers playing at the top level, playing the Premier League and in Serie A, each of these with tons of potential, but they haven't really gotten it done with the national team on a consistent basis. So what needs to happen for these players to show out for their national team, not only for their clubs?
Yeah, and you look at, the position of center forward in the Mexican team down the years is one where you always feel like it doesn't matter what they're doing at club level, they perform for the national team. You look at Cuauhtémoc Blanco, you look at Chicharito Hernández. Those are the two players I think are held up as the example of the modern era of those guys just get it done. And I think for Raúl Jiménez, I think his scoring record is a little bit better. He's basically a goal every 3 games for Mexico. But for Santi Giménez, it basically is unrecognizable. You look at the player that in the Eredivisie scores tons of goals in this Milan team, is now I think starting to find his way. He has never performed at anywhere near that level for the national team. And part of that, you wonder, is the overall setup. Is there a chance creation mechanism that is failing around Santi Giménez, or is Santi Giménez himself not doing enough to get involved in the chances and perform at a higher level for this team? For me, though, it is sort of imperative to at some point get him going. He is their best talent. Raúl Jiménez, great player. His years at Wolves are fantastic. It's a great story as well, how well he's performing this year for Fulham, considering the head injury he had a few years ago. It seems as though he might not ever be that player again. He is becoming that player again. But he's 33, and Santi Giménez is the future of that position. At some point, a Mexico manager and a Mexico group of attackers have to figure out a way to get the best out of Santiago Giménez, because he is the best talent in that position for this national team. And for me, it would be a fairly significant disappointment for them, and it lowers their ceiling if they can't get him going.
Should he be starting there and have Raúl as a super sub?
I would pick him. I would pick Santi Giménez up front. I think even though if you were to just choose him on the basis of national team play, you wouldn't pick him. I think you have to keep feeding him opportunities and chances, because otherwise he'll never develop the confidence and he'll never be that guy to lead the national team. So I think they should pick him up front.